If you've been watching my channel for a couple of months, then you probably know about my hardcore ocean world. I've had so much fun working on this world over the last few months, and things were looking insanely good. In fact, you could even say I was on the same level as my regular hardcore world, with my crazy iron and gunpowder farms and my busted set of max enchanted netherite armor. I even made my house into a fully custom blackstone pyramid that looked so good at night. Everything was going well. No, insanely well. That is until the Fire Nation attacked. And by Fire Nation, I mean my computer broke and was down for over a month. And after getting the computer fixed, I lost all of my Minecraft worlds and their backups because I was a small brain that didn't save the backups to Google Drive or someplace smart. So here we are. But it's not entirely over because before my computer Thanos snapped everything that I loved from right before my very eyes, I began recording 300 days of hardcore Minecraft in my ocean-only world. And this video details everything that happened right up until the end. And if you do go on to enjoy this video, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button because every sub means a ton to me and we are on our way to hitting 1 million subscribers. Anyways, this is how I lost my 300 days hardcore ocean world. On day 201, I was excited because I had so many things planned for these 100 days. I began the day by enchanting bows so that way I could craft the ultimate bow. And why would I need an ultimate bow in an ocean-only world, you may ask? Because in these 100 days, I was going to resummon the Ender Dragon and kill her as many times as I can afford. Because ghast tears are hard to get and ghasts are elusive trolls. So anyways, I enchanted 2 bows back to back and they gave me a combination of the perfect enchantments for a freaking god bow. Today was going to be a good day. So I went to the anvil and I combined the 2 bows, and for some reason, I actually thought that naming it David Bowie was going to be a good idea. So yeah, I named it Simp Shredder instead because that is a god tier name for a god tier bow. After making the bow, I also made an absolutely awful choice in wasting most of my XP in order to add Punch 2 to it, which basically did nothing. And it's safe to say that I was not that proud of that decision. So anyways, now that I had my OP bow, I headed into the nether in search of some ghasts to make cry. However, with my typical luck, there was none of them to be found when I actually needed them. To be honest, they were probably just lurking in the pools, hot tubs, and beaches section on Twitch, which I would know nothing about. So, since I was obviously not going to be finding any ghasts, I instead went into the nether fortress for the next best thing. Or, I guess, the better thing. And that is wither skulls. Because I have to get cracking on those beacons, especially if I'm going to make 5 of them out of every resource. So, I killed a couple wither skelly boys, and of course, they dropped nothing. And on top of that, now that I was all the way up here, there were ghasts spawning. So I was just standing up here waiting and watching until one of them ended up being over top of some land. So I switched to my bow and I sniped him with my unmatched skills. And this man dropped 1 juicy ghast here, which is kind of a weird sentence, not gonna lie. After grabbing the ghast here, I went back up to the nether fortress for some more wither decapitation, and the very first guy that I killed dropped his head. And this was the exact good luck charm that I was looking for these 100 days. After getting my first skull, I continued hunting around the fortress with little to no luck, but I mean, I technically couldn't complain because I had gotten a skull in the first 5 kills, which overall is not that bad to be honest. While looking around the fortress for some more wither skeletons, I stumbled upon something a little peculiar in the distance. That's right, there was another nether fortress and it was inside of a soul sand biome, which is the literal perfect place to farm for wither skulls because nothing else spawns in that biome. So it was safe to say that this was going to be a glorious set of 100 days where I will definitely be transforming my pyramid into a super base. And what does a super base need? Beacons. So I marked my way back to this area with cobblestone and I spent the rest of day 3 just hunting around the first nether fortress for some more wither skeletons, and while getting attacked by a swarm, I managed to get myself a second wither skull to drop. After this, I went back home for the day because my inventory was stuffed and for some reason I still had the dragon egg on me from the ending of 200 days. Yikes. I began day 204 by making a second ender chest so I could properly utilize my inventory. Honestly, I couldn't go back to the days before ender chests and shulkers. because it was hell. After this, I traded for a name tag and I named the mama chicken that I totally didn't let despawn in the first 100 days because she didn't have a name. Surprisingly, not as many people as I thought submitted names for her, so the winner was Ethan here with the name Miss Chickington. And now that my king had been given his queen, it was on to some big boy tasks. So I crafted 8 end crystals with the gas tiers that I had, which is just enough to resummon the ender dragon 2 more times. And I spent the rest of the day planning out my battles and organizing my inventory for what was about to come. So now that I was ready, I stared into the end portal and I hopped back through. Now that I was back in the end, I placed the first 4 end crystals and I watched the ender dragon step foot back into her realm. Or should I say, my realm. Cue double dragon killing montage. Just like that, I now had 3 open end portals. So honestly, let's hope one of them spawns near an elytra. Anyways, now that both dragons were dead, I took advantage of me being in the end by building a small platform and farming some endermen until my silk touch pickaxe was almost fully repaired. Plus, I may have also gotten an inventory full of ender pearls, but let's not talk about that. On day 206, I began prepping myself to go on a journey into the end in search for the coveted elytra. I grabbed myself an Unbreaking 3 and Mending Book and an anvil, so the second I got another elytra, I could use it even though I don't have any paper for fireworks. Honestly, at this point, I'm dying to find some sugarcane. Anyways, after preparing my ender chest, I began growing trees for some extra wood so I could bring chests into the end to capitalize on all of the dank loot I was going to find. However, I had an even bigger brain idea and I just stole all the chests from the old tool shed that I once called a home. Good times. And now that I had an inventory full of supplies and blocks, I made my way back into the end and I built up to the closest end portal, or whatever you call these, and I ender pearled my way through in one try, and I definitely didn't screw it up at all. Not at all. And now that I was in the Outer Lands, I set my render distance to 64 in the hopes of seeing an end city. But just like my dad, they were nowhere to be found. So instead, I took off in the easiest direction I could find, and I left a torch trail on the way so I didn't have to spend absolute years looking for another portal. And fast forward about 2 minutes of exploring, there it was in the distance, the first end city. Only thing is, I now had to cross this massive Made in Abyss sized hole. Let me know in the comments if you know about that anime. That is a top-notch anime. You should totally go watch. So after about 5 minutes straight and placing about half of the cobblestone that I had brought with me, I had made my way across, and there was another gap. So while you watch me struggle across this pile of death, I wanted to give you some big pro tips for your first time in the end while looking for an elytra. First tip, you should 100% go to accessibility in your settings and set the sneak to toggle instead of hold. This will save you so much stress and sweat, literally so much sweat. If you've heard of sticky keys, this is like disabling sweaty keys. On day 207, I made it to the end city, and just let me say, this was one of the worst end cities I have ever seen. This wasn't even an end city. This was like an end abandoned shack. There were only 3 shulkers and no chest rooms nor end ships to be found. On top of that, the shulkers only dropped 1 shell. 1 star on Yelp. Do not visit. After that very disappointing stay in the 1-star hotel, I continued exploring in the hopes of finding an actually real end city. And things were getting ridiculous. I was exploring for thousands of blocks with nothing. But finally, on day 209, I found not 1, but 2 end cities. But I mean, who really cares about the small one? Because the first one had an end ship. So I ran towards it in the hopes that it would be easily accessible, and there was another large end void. My favorite. But hey, on a positive note, this wasn't just any regular end city. This was an advanced end city. Please tell me somebody got that reference. On day 210, after the 2.5 stacks of cobble that it took to get across the void, I was finally here to smack some boys and steal some loot. Cue looting montage. While looting the end city, I drank a potion of slow falling, and I yeeted myself down onto the end ship, which I totally didn't miss and then have to dig up. After getting back up here, after being here the entire time, I killed the shulker, and I stole the crazy OP loot from the chests, and I took my first elytra out of the item frame. I grabbed my anvil, and I added Unbreaking 3 and Mending to the elytra, and I named them the Wings of Ra, because honestly, I like to keep you guys guessing with those juicy references. And after this, I crafted my first 6 shulker boxes, and I chucked all of my loot inside to clean out my inventory for the day. On day 212, I set back out looking for more end cities because I need more shulkers for peak organization. And after only about 5 minutes of exploring, I found myself another super end city that had another end ship. And then I realized it. I had hit the absolute motherlode. There were not 2, not 3, there were 4 end cities. I had found a cluster of 4 end cities. So in excitement, I began by nerd pulling my way up to the end ship, and upon looting the chests, I found a diamond chest piece with gross enchants, a diamond sword, and a Fortune 3 god pickaxe. And I also found some iron crap. I guess. I grab everything because I'm a hoarder. Oh, and of course, I grabbed the second elytra, and I made my way to the top of the ship, and I stole the dragon head off of the front. Plus, while I was up here stealing the second dragon head, I actually saw a third end ship on top of one of the end cities. So in celebration of all of this looting, we're going to begin a brand new segment in the series that I like to call Pain Obsessing Over Loot. End City number 1. For the first end city, after looting the end ship, the first loot room provided me with a decadent diamond sword and diamond boots. Plus, I got some more dank iron and gold ingots that were imported straight from the nether. For the second loot room, I found a Prot 4 diamond helmet along with 2 iron chest pieces with some beefy enchants, and of course, I took the free ender chest because hey, it's free real estate. In the third loot room, I found 5 sparkling diamonds along with 2 pairs of diamond leggings and some diamond Yeezys. And for the fourth loot room, there wasn't really much, but I did get another pair of diamond pants to add to my collection. In chest room number 5, I got another diamond helmet and a bunch more free golden iron. And finally, in chest room number 6, I found 7 fresh diamondes. At the end of this first end city, I also now had 7 ender chests and 37 more shulker shells. This truly was a beast of an end city. End city number 2. For the second end city's first chest room, I found another 4 diamonds and a Fire Prot 4 diamond chest piece, and of course, a free ender chest. In chest room number 2, I found 4 more diamonds and an efficiency 4 mending diamond pickaxe, and while I was exploring this area, I found a 5th end city with another end ship in the distance, and at this point I was kind of getting scared because I was quickly burning through my food while fighting all these shulkers, and I might have to just start eating golden apples or chorus fruit because I like loot. Anyways, chest room number 3 was full of 5 more coveted diamonds, a pair of supreme diamond leggings, and a diamond shovel and pickaxe. At the end of this end city, I found myself walking away with 1 more ender chest and 17 more shulker shells. Things were looking heckin' good. I began end city number 3 with the end ship, and the chests were some of the worst I have ever seen. I only got some iron and a diamond pickaxe, but hey, elytra number 3 was pretty pog. For chest room number 1, I got some diamond boots and a diamond shovel and some iron and gold. And once again, there were kinda some letdown chests. For chest room number 2, I got another diamond shovel and an ender chest, and at this point I felt that RNGesus hath blessed me enough, or so I had thought, because the final chest room had 5 diamondes, my dudes. Plus, I was now at 10 ender chests, and I had an additional 13 more shulker shells. End cities number 4 and 5. For the first loot room of the last 2 end cities, I found 2 gold horse armor, which were super useful for all of the horses in my world. For the second chest room, I found some more diamond stuff, and at this point, I'm kind of desensitized to all of this diamond stuff. After this, I went to the end ship, and there were emeralds, which were pretty rare in these chests, and an insulting amount of horse armor. But I did get myself another elytra and a crazy good Prot 4 helmet. And of course, I went up to the top of the ship and I collected the dragon's head. Also, not gonna lie, I got tired and wanted to go home, so I didn't even go to the 5th end city because it was just one of those stupid little towers anyways. Overall, after looting all of the end cities, I ended up with enough shulker shells to make an additional 43 shulker boxes, which totals out to 49 new shulkers from this trip without flying, which is pretty pog. And this concludes our segment of pain obsessing over loot. Also, fun fact, this looting excursion took all the way until day 220. That is right, I sat here looting for 2.5 hours straight. Bite me. Or become a channel member, you do you. Now that I was done with my massive looting spree, I spent all of day 221 backtracking over my torch path while trying to get home, and somehow I kinda got lost, but while I was on top of an end city that I had already ravaged, I saw a saving grace in the distance. There was a new portal that I had missed. So I grabbed my elytra and I set off like some troll in a jet in GTA 5 when you're trying to deliver expensive cars or cargo. If you play GTA 5, you understand that way too well. After getting to the portal, I built my way up and I ender pearled my way back to the end island. And honestly, it felt like I had just finished skydiving and I was finally back on the ground. Walking through the end without an elytra is one of the most stress-inducing things you can do in all of Minecraft. Plus, I have never gone looting for that long in the end without using an elytra or fireworks. Anyways, now that I was home safe and my palms were no longer sweaty, Eminem forbid, I organized all of my loot into chests, and just look at this haul. I ended up with 4 elytras, 4 dragon heads, 3 chest pieces, 4 leggy boys, 6 Yeezys, and 30 raw diamonds, plus a bunch of other different resources, and I also got a bunch of tools, including 6 diamond axes, and I got some horse armor, which are kind of unique treasures in this world because they're kind of hard to find without structures. I mean, not really, but you know, I don't have horses, so I guess they're gonna be treasures now, damn it. On days 222 through 223, I went back to the nether fortress in the nether, and I built across to the one in the Soul Sand Valley so I could continue farming wither skulls, and let me tell you, this place was mad hectic. Since the mob cap was pretty much empty, there were wither skeletons in blazes everywhere. There were also annoying zombie pig boys that I was very scared to hit by mistake, and while exploring the fortress, I also found like 5 chests. And guess what they had? If you guessed more insulting horse armor that I could use for my imaginary horses, then you were right. After looting the chests, I officially began my skeleton hunting party. And at first, not many of them were dropping skulls. But when I got over to this prime real estate area, things really took off. I killed 2 wither skeletons in a row, and they both dropped skulls, which meant I could kill my first wither and make a beacon. But I wasn't done there, because literally the very next man I killed dropped a 3rd skull. And at this point, I was on a roll. So now that things really ramped up, I was getting skull after skull after skull. I was living the Minecraft dream. I was in here until I got 7 wither skulls, and at that point, I was tired of the blazes catching me on fire, so I decided to head back home so I could make myself some more fire resistance potions. But either way, I was a very happy man because I had enough to summon 3 withers and make 3 spicy beacons. Also, while I was heading home, I had the kind of sad realization that this nether fortress, even without being an actual wither farm, significantly outperformed my 500 days hardcore wither farm, because this one didn't have any stupid enderman spawns getting in the way. On day 224, it began thunderstorming, so I decided to go hunting in the water for some trident boys. However, I didn't really have any luck, but one of the weirdest things ever in Minecraft happened to me. One of those strikes of lightning that spawns the skeleton horse riders struck the ocean, and these boys were near impossible to hit. But I was on a mission because this was my one chance to actually get horses in this world. With a dolphin's help, I managed to kill one of the riders, but now I had to somehow get the horse up out of the water, and that's where my big, wrinkly 5-head massive brain came in. I went back to the base and I grabbed some magma and soul sand so I could build a water elevator, and I struggled to push the first horse into the boat. That is, until I realized that they don't actually fit in boats. So instead, I made a small wood island, and I guess I was going to have to build a path all the way over to the base. Either way, the first skeleton horse was acquired. I later spent the rest of that night hunting the other skeleton horse riders, and then I had another massive brain idea. Why build a path when I could just ride them underwater and make a water elevator right by my base? So that is exactly what I did. One by one, I delivered each spooky boy to my island, and this is kind of random, but this makes me very excited for Halloween, which I wrote these notes like 3 months ago, way before Halloween, and I'm doing this voiceover now during spooky month, during Halloween. So if you're also equally as excited for Halloween, let me know in the comments down below, because I love seeing other people that just love the holidays. I love holiday seasons. And honestly, I can't wait to build spooky builds and capture some more pumpkin head mobs. Anyways, after killing the final rider, I took the last horse back home, and I was now the proud owner of a band of skeleton horses. And honestly, I never really expected to need a horse barn in ocean only world. But anyways, I bought 4 name tags, and I decided to name these dudes after my favorite 4 Naruto tailed beasts. I named them Kurama, Gyuki, Matatabi, and Shikaku. And just like that, I now had a literal pile of horses in the middle of my island. But hey, new friendos, am I right? And this has concluded this episode of Pain getting sidetracked in Minecraft, or so you thought. Also, this horse migration took until day 225. On day 226, I added some quality of life improvements around my base that I've honestly been ignoring for a while. First, I made an auto blast furnace smelter and a regular furnace smelter. Then I integrated the crafting benches, anvils, and ender chests into the walls so that way they didn't stick out as much. And I spent the rest of the day setting up a corner with some chests for potion supplies in an area with hella brewing stands so I could begin mass producing potions. After this, I made a chest for glass bottles, a chest for water bottles, and dragon's breath, which I somehow got by accident during one of the dragon fights. I also made a chest for miscellaneous ingredients, blaze rods, and magma cream. Plus, I have some spare chests that I could use for mass potion storage, as if the only potion I used totally wasn't fire resistance. On day 227, I began the day by brewing a totally reasonable number of 8-minute fire resistance potions, and I threw all of them into a shulker box so that way no blaze can ever lay their grubby little fingers on me again. I mean, that is, unless I stand close enough to them, they just smack me, but let's not talk about that. So you could say I was only weak to their hand-to-rod combat, which, you know, honestly, I really wish I didn't say that out loud. Anyways, I went back to the end to continue farming wither skulls, and I got one right away, and things were looking pretty good. That is, until I made what I like to call the mistake. I smacked a zombie piglin, and honestly, this whole chase was kind of sad. I really rather you didn't see it. I panicked and had no blocks, and I made some terrible plays. I may have had to jump down into the lava in a desperate attempt to not become the orphan that the zombie technoblades so desperately wanted to send to the Shadow Realm. So after finally giving all of the blood to the blood gods, I got back to what I came here for, killing wither skeletons, not zombie piglins. Anyways, cue montage. I ended up being in the nether for a long time, and I killed so many skelly boys, but I really didn't get that many skulls for the amount of time that I've spent. However, on the final day I was here, day 231, I found a chest with 5 diamonds in it. And this chest spoke to me. It told me to use the beacons to mine for enough diamonds to make one of my tier 4 beacons. I mean, how many stacks could it be, right? 2, 3, 23? That's right, I was going to need 23 and a half stacks of diamonds for a tier 4 diamond beacon. Don't know why I said beacon twice. Anyways, while heading home in the nether, I got kind of sidetracked by the first nether fortress, and while yoinking some gold ores, I noticed something a bit odd. So I cranked my FOV down to 30, and there was a third nether fortress. I have never been this lucky with nether fortresses in my life, and this world is gone now. Also, my 500 days hardcore world, that's also gone, I don't want to talk about it, is going to be so jealous of all these good nether fortresses. Let's go on to the next day. On day 332, I began the day by checking on the chickies, and while yeeting their potential children on the ground, one actually hatched. I'm sorry for what's coming in the future, little ones. After bringing new life into this world, I used bone meal on their grass so I could collect some flowers to make some dye. I then began dyeing my e-chest shulkers into some very organized colors, and I began naming them and adding some backup supplies just in case I ever got stuck anywhere without food or something, as if that totally didn't almost happen 2 times already. Anyways, I spent the rest of the day cleaning out some random chests I had around my base that I 100% have no clue how they became so full of crap, because I'm not lazy at all, and I would never just dump my inventory into random chests off camera. Don't quote me on that. During this day, I also checked on the iron farm, and for some reason, the sorting ended up getting messed up, so I had to move the iron into the second chest, and I had accumulated an entire double chest and 6 extra stacks of iron. So it was fair to say that I definitely had enough for my ultimate tier 4 iron beacon. On day 333, I gathered 12 of my 14 wither skulls, some soul sand, obsidian, and some potions of strength, and I 360 no-scoped my way into the end portal. After getting here, I dug out a hole underneath the exit portal bedrock, and I set up my GG Easy wither farm. And as fast as you could say CAMPFARSONG song, I erased 4 withers from existence. And now that I had my nether stars, I went back to the overworld and down the stairs to my mine to get started mining that delicious obsidian so I could craft my beacons. And after getting about 34 of the obsidian, which totally wasn't overkill, I decided to go check on the slime chunk, and I found myself with a big chungus friend that wanted to play Fruit Ninja with me. Too bad he was the fruit. After this, I went back to the surface, and while waiting around for some sand to smelt in my auto farm for the glass for the beacons, I spent the night hunting drown in Les Océans, except all I managed to find was one dude with a nautilus shell and only one trident boy who, you guessed it, dropped me nothing. Which means, yeah, there's no trident for a thumbnail. I mean to use, the trident to use, not for the thumbnail. On day 334, I grabbed all of the glass that I had smelted, and I crafted myself 4 beacon boyos. And now that I had my beacons, it was time. I went over to my iron farm, and I emptied all of the chests and crafted all of the iron golem corpses into iron blocks. And there were enough to make 7 stacks. After this, I built a giant tier 4 double beacon in a admittedly pretty terrible spot, but it doesn't matter because it was temporary, so that way I could get haste to mine me some diamondes. So I went down to my mine and I began the ever so satisfying process of instantly deleting blocks until 5 seconds later I lost all of my buffs. And apparently my beacon was only going to work if it was underground with me. And at that point, I knew that something was wrong. So I went back over to my 500-day hardcore world to see if my buffs worked underground in Y11, and they did. So I thought maybe I just needed a sextuple beacon for it to work, even though that barely made any sense. So anyways, I added 2 more beacons to the super beacon, and I made them resistance 2 and strength 2. And guess what still disappeared while I was down here mining? Yeah, so I struggled to break my beacons while being harassed by Sky Satan, and I made a 2x2 hole all the way down to my mine, so that way I could place the beacon underground, and I rebuilt a second tier 4 beacon and activated all of the 4 same buffs, and I went absolutely ham at mining for diamonds. Cue montage. This whole mining excursion took until day 340, and honestly, it started to feel like I was playing Slime Rancher 2 because there were hella slime chunks down here. All of a sudden, all of these voluptuous boys were literally everywhere. I mean, just look at all of these slimes. Maybe the game was trying to drop a hint that I should finally use the slime blocks to make a bamboo farm. Anyways, I ended up with a measly 30 diamond ore and a pile of other miscellaneous ores from this entire excursion, which honestly was kind of disappointing because I needed way more diamonds than that. On day 341, I began by placing out all 30 diamond ore, and this part of mining never gets old. So I smashed through those ore faster than Gazin did to the wall of bossing say. Except they only dropped me 60 diamonds, which is about an average of 2. Quick maths. After basking in the sad reality that I needed 20 times the amount of diamonds that I just got for a beacon, I began mining all of my coal with Fortune 3, and I got almost 2 stacks of coal blocky boys. After that, I built my empire of redstone ore, which I immediately tore back down to feed my always hungry silk touch pickaxe, and I ended up with exactly 2 stacks of redstone blocks. Since I didn't really have anything else planned for the day and it was already nighttime, I set back out on my hunt for that beautiful thumbnail trident. And while out searching, I found 4 glazed terracotta inside one of those weird structures that I never touch. And while down here, I also found 2 more greedy trident boys who didn't want my thumbnail to look nice. By the end of the night, I ended up with some sea lanterns, prismarine, and a bunch of random crap from some random sea chests. However, I had no trident. On day 342, I began the day by tearing down my stone generator because I didn't really need it anymore and it was directly in my way. And after erasing that from existence, I started clearing out some of the excess cobble platform that I had lying around because at this point, cobblestone is no longer welcome. It hurts my eyes just looking at it. And now that I had some extra space, I began planning how I would want to reinvent the area surrounding my base. Except I kinda got distracted for the rest of the night by hunting for some more drowned with tridents. And after killing a horde of boys, I actually got 1 trident man to drop me a gold ingot. Yeah, you thought I was gonna say trident there. No, he dropped me a gold ingot. So safe to say that that night was a waste. And the sad irony about it is that was the last thing that I had done in this world before it had disappeared. During this time, I was thinking about a way to reinvent my base and make the ocean world look gorgeous. So I had set the world aside for a bit to work on some other projects. But little did I know, a couple months later, I was going to lose every other world, including this one, off of my computer. So yeah, this world is gone, and I am really sad about it, genuinely. But I hope you all did still enjoy this video, because these are the last things that happened before my ocean world ceased to exist. Honestly, this world was a lot of fun, and if you do want to do an ocean world yourself, I would highly recommend it. Very fun experience. It's very balanced feeling. There's a lot of difficulty, along with a lot of balance. It feels like a challenge to get going somewhere. And when you finally do get going somewhere, it kind of feels like the game Raft in a way. But yeah, if you did like this video and you do want to see more videos like it, there will be something on your screen and there will be links in the description to my other playlists. But this has been PainDomination, and I hope you all enjoy this video. I will see you all in the next one. Peace.